Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to look at Jacopo Pontormo, Florentine school Italian artist from 1494 and died in 1557. Let's take a look at his works. Well, all right, with Pontormo, I thought we'd start out with a self-portrait. So a middle Renaissance artist for sure. This is probably Pontormo here as a younger man, really precocious, I think, in strong draftsman and also painter, one of my favorite draftsmen of that area. But just the beautiful crafted, really line work throughout, a little bit of tone. Now, the drawing is a little old. You get, obviously, it's 500 or so years old, so you get some staining here with the paper. But just a beautiful control of the facial features. You're going to notice throughout Pontormo's drawings and also his paintings, he has this stylistic sort of rounded, more approach to eyes, and also the eye socket quite a bit. You're going to see that quite a bit. You're going to see him punch a lot of darks into the divots of the mouth and nodes in through here, but also the eyes. Most of the time the eyes will be in kind of a shadow. It's interesting and I think strange mannered kind of style that he began to develop in the Renaissance. Let's go to the next one. So another lovely self-portrait here, and we can see that there's some challenges in this drawing. Yeah, if we notice them, is that we know it's a self-portrait. We believe, and we take a look at his arm here. So he was left-handed. If we're looking in the mirror, he would be left-handed there. And so he's drawing from observation from a mirror. We can see the hand probably on the drawing board somewhere in through here, and then we've got also I love this part with the foreshortened fingers and the arm here, the forearm here roughly right, and in the shoulder, upper arm right in through there. So it's a tour de force not only in self-portraiture but also in foreshortening. That's very severe, kind of foreshortening where you get this kind of tube for the shoulder, and then you get another tube in through here for the lower forearm, and then you get this tubey box form for his hand and finger, the finger like that pointed, and of course the fingers are down this way. So really kind of tour de force in that, but also self-portrait I think is nice. And then what's also fascinating, I think, rich about these drawings is notice how the artists of this times used a couple of techniques. Notice the cross-hatching over the tone. So we see this tone laid down by the chalk, maybe stumped in or blended in a little bit, maybe with the fingers. Right, but then we also see it here. We see it all over the model a little bit. Let's see if I can bump up a little bit. There we go. And you can see it, this kind of nice cross-hatched look, that lattice look even, that he liked to indulge in as well. And then also these really rich darks where he pulls in here, the sternum right in through there, the underarm or the forearm right in through there. These nice little rich areas of dark that come out, I think, are important to see and utilize as artists when you have a form turning like this bicep here, right? And then it turns into the forearm here to the extensors. Makes it really, really nice. And of course, he gets us some contouring there as well. You can see more dimpling in the obliques with some darks there. And then lastly, remembered from our last image, that circled look on the eyes. In these, see his eyes, self-portrait, he really begins to utilize this almost kind of John Lennon-like kind of glasses for the conception of his eye sockets, and then of course the eyes, which is really uncommon. It's a stylistic proclivity of his, which I find to be interesting. And that's why it's so important to study art history and to study the artists of the past, and of course also the immediate present, those who are the biggest names for many reasons, whether you like them or not, is to get a feel for what's going on and what's happened and what is happening as well. And then you get the divots in the nodes of the mouth. That will be something that we see a lot from Pontormo. So another image here, a preparatory drawing, probably done mostly from life. It looks like smokers, readers, and or smokers. Not quite sure what's going on with the hand there, but again, another tour de force of sketching and drawing. Just excellent, quicker contouring and a quicker, sketchy
gesture line. A lot of this is quick sketched out, which is I think a really handsome kind of style to begin to try to emulate. But notice all the line weight variations, darker through here, and then lighter in areas where he needs to be. So there's a lot of value in transition, darker and through here. And then the background kind of sketch lines, which I think work, really nicely to give us just an indication of the tone as well. Here we see Pontormo look a little bit more like Michelangelo, correct? It looks very much like his style and rendering. So if you're not quite sure, you'll have to be familiar with Pontormo's work. Where we see this mannered style, take a look at the elongation here of the lima bean. Look how long that is. That is quite a long abdomen to a rib cage and on over, quite a bit, isn't it? So you get that mannered approach where you have elongated arms, you have elongated legs, etc. So you get that very kind of a long approach, I think, in these Pontormo renderings. So look for that when you see his paintings and also you see his drawings. You're going to see that quite a bit. So probably my favorite Pontormo drawing of all time for me is this one, this rendering of a floating angel figure. You can see the wings back here a little bit. And he does this study presumably from life, and it's laid in, it looks like a very light kind of chalk. I don't think they had graphite yet. So a light kind of Conte type chalk, and you can see some of the sketch lines here underneath, in through here, right, in through there. I can blow this up a little bit to help, I think, even further. So you can see, so you can see some of these sketch lines, right, in through here and through here. And then he comes back with this sepia tone, this sort of brown ochre wash, probably one value or two, probably two values. So we see a darker value in these tones here, right? And we see a lighter value in some of the washes. So he's probably doing a little bit of multiple value in his drawings, and I love the also this beautiful tonality that he gets here with the head and through here, and the neck, the shoulders, all that's, I think, particularly pretty gorgeous as well. So I think a tour de force in drawing, but also I think a really great example of combining the drawn model and then using the watercolor wash, or in this case maybe an ink type wash on top of that, very lightly, and doing that in layers to give you a soft kind of atmospheric quality. So here we see again that elongated proportional scale, smallish head here, right, and then elongated figure down the back, and then we notice again from the neck, down to the buttock and through here, that's extra long, and then obviously from the legs over. But a really beautiful example of Pontormo style, his graceful ability to render model form almost effortlessly here in also in chalk forming here, and I think a nice kind of study for the hands here. You get that how to essentially kind of shorthand the hands a little bit here and make that, I think, work for you when you're doing larger scale figures, and not get bogged down by detail in any one really particular area, rather than making the whole part kind of a lovely study. And then you see him down below, down here, where the feet are. Just gesture sometimes with the toes, so you can see where he's experimenting with a little bit of mark making too down there. Here's another study I like to show from Pontormo, one of his anatomical studies. And so there's a whole anatomical section within the drawing database, and you get this lovely drawing, probably done from a cadaver, from life, and I just like the curvy linear style that he has, really curved up on the clavicle and the rib cage. And so we see, him studying a little bit of the rib cage area, this what would be his right side, our left, just a left side here of the model. The adductors here in the pelvic region, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis here on the side, rectus femoris running through here as it attaches up to the pelvic iliac crest area, knee area, and you see him doing another study in through here. But again, the lovely linear draftsmanship with a little shading. I like the contouring right around that he's doing. I think it's lovely. And then some really focused darks in certain areas. We'll blow that up a little bit so you can see that even better. That make the drawing just a masterful kind of drawing to look at. I'll take those layers off so we can see that a little bit better. So, again, to give you some stylistic options of how to do studies or when you want to do studies, you don't necessarily have to do them completely finished. I see that sometimes in some academic drawings, and you really want to get your knowledge and then get out of there and get on to art making, I think. Here we have an imaginative drawing by Pontormo. These are dead souls. These could be an idea for an illustration for Dante's Inferno. But this is a great idea to see the elongation of his lima bean forms. Very buttery, very curvilinear, and very long approach to the craft of drawing. In here we see that beautiful elongation in through here. For some reason my pen won't mark, I don't know. But we get this elongation that I think is a very handsome, kind of attractive look. So this little exquisite study is Pontormo at his conceptual phase of preparation, drawing figures from both life and also from his imagination. So if we slow this down a little bit and blow this up a little, you can see where he's crafting these models. Look at the stylization, especially for the time. These are all from his head. Look at these angled, sort of expressive, eyes that he has. These raised gestures, the simplification, for the nose, the downturned mouth, like that, giving him, this figure over through here, this kind of anime, quality before anime was anime, right? The head, etc., and so on. And these are all, some of these are in chalk. This is in chalk. This is in chalk. These are in pen and ink. You can kind of hopefully certainly tell the difference. And then you've got this one up in chalk above us here. This little beautiful one of a study of a head, kind of underneath the head. Let me get it closer to you in chalk. And in a very much a direct kind of contour line where he's not drawing all the structural components, he's just drafting the contour line. Sometimes you use construction lines, sometimes you don't, depending on the pose, but you get so good you don't use it as much. But you're always keeping it really in your mind. So another good page, I think, of illuminating what artists do and how they conceive of ideas, and this is still done today with one American artist that draws more academically but doesn't paint so is Kerry James Marshall. And we'll take a look at his work one day soon. So a few images left. This one is a lovely head study by Pontormo. Here we get into the particulars of the facial features of the model. So he's working from life and working from a particular figure, live figure, portrait setting. He did quite a bit of portraits. And if we go in a little bit deeper now, we can see more conclusively the rendering and craftsmanship and how really loose it is. It depends on your aesthetic and your taste. I love a little bit looser approach, but I also like to look at very much tighter approaches, although I don't really enjoy doing it because of the kind of the tediousness of it sometimes, photorealism. But I understand those who do love it. But look how light and loose the background sketching is. It's stumped a little bit, meaning that it's blended with some type of device that they would use to stump. Nowadays we have cardboard, or you can use your finger to control that, or you can use a number of devices. And then he goes back on with a nice this kind of contouring, sketch line in some areas. You see the background tone as well. Also, again, the eyes. Notice how they're in shadow and really rounded more fully than normal, I think. I like the pocking of darks into here. Really look at those dark linear areas, dark areas in the eyes, nose, to bring out the quality of value, and also 3D definition too as well. Just a beautiful sketch by Pontormo. And then lastly, this, I think, nice, more complete kind of charcoal sketch. Still very loose all over, preparatory sketch. We see classic Pontormo stylings in the face, the rounded, ovaled, face, right? And then the kind of rounded symbols for the head, and also kind of for the upturned nose, and then the really downturned, kind of mouth area. It gives a kind of particular sort of juvenile, in a way, kind of expression, I think, too, as well. And then beautiful linear sketching, very quick sketching throughout, detailing, but in a very almost gestural manner, the rendering of the figure. And then you can see these big broad strokes out here, right, of background toning. Every time you do drawings for sketching, for studies, for the most part, try to give your drawings a background tone. Give them a place where they can live within the drawing space rather than just on the white paper, for the most part. Sometimes you can break those rules.